Welcome to Venus Improbable Dream, a visual novel that tackles a bit of social anxiety and depression all in the same bundle. But I played this game, the demo of it, a while back, and I remember it touching on some really real aspects about living with something in which you had no control over. But I'm going to continue where I left off, so in the description of the video you'll be able to find both a playlist of my original playthrough of the demo and also as well where you can find the game as well on Steam. So I left it off with some piano playing, I believe, or piano practice. I've been in music club for almost an hour now, trying once more to make an improvement on my playing. This piece is still giving me several other members trouble, as well as me, and I'm doing my best to record the original recording as accurately as I can. As accurately as I can pronounce the word accurately. I'd listened to the two club pieces I own on repeat back to back as I'd stealthily eaten my lunch in the CD room earlier today, so they should have wormed their way into my brain now. We continue the performance until the piece comes to its end and he crosses his arms regarding the group with a thoughtful nod. We still need quite a bit of improvement in the lead, but not so bad on the supported instruments that time. I stand up as everybody disperses, picking up my sheet music and shouldering my bag before I could stride away, hoping to get out of here as soon as possible. Kudo Sensei appears at my side. He was the nice, thoughtful instructor. And I thought so. Been doing some more hard work, Akini. I could tell the difference in you today. I feel quite bashful of that compliment, not as I shift my weight from foot to foot. I've been in the CD room. Oh, in the library? I nod again. He regards me with approval. Well done. Smart move. That'll definitely help you to understand your own parts alongside everyone else's. Aha, the thoughtful knock. I step into the room having knocked first, because it's a rhythmic knock that he does to alert Haruka, sorry, my bad, Haruka. It's a distinctive knock in which she recognises that it is him. I wasn't able to remember the piece that we did last time round, but we definitely did better, did we? This time she doesn't hide the fact that she must have been listening out for me at all. I'm momentarily taken aback, but the enthusiasm on her face serves to calm me down somewhat. Yeah, I guess so. She clasps her hands together with an encouraging smile. I know you did. I heard it. My ears are tuned to pick out the faintest of faults within music. Come on, Kakeru. Give a bigger, sprightly more thanks than that. I squirm awkwardly, but Haruka doesn't pick up on it, simply dropping her hands back down to her sides and nodding as if to say you're welcome. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, you didn't seem that enthusiastic about her compliment. I'm sorry, protagonist, but do a little bit more. You can push yourself a little bit more, man. Just a bit at a time though, but still just a little bit more. Struggling to recall what about earlier. I didn't mean to be so weird at lunch. Yeah, our encounter had been a little tense. Okay, so I think I'm starting to remember what happened. It was a little bit of a, I don't think it was embarrassing, but it was a little bit off the hook, if you were to call it. I was just a bit on edge. Those girls in my class kind of shook me up. I remember bullies. Haruka was being bullied by girls and the protagonist was being bullied by boys, sort of thing. Don't feel bad, I get it. She remains silent, despite my reply, and I wonder if there's more going on in her mind than she's letting on. Feeling a little disgruntled, I decide to voice a potential concern I think she might be having. If you don't want me to be around you so much, you know, after today, if being associated with me is going to give her more trouble than she can handle, but I don't want to stick around. However, she pipes up again quickly once I begin to express the idea. No, yeah, exactly. Haruka's finally made a friend, and Kakeru's finally made a friend. I keep forgetting the name of the protagonist, so I apologise. I like talking to you. I figure Haruka must like having me around somewhat, considering that it had been her that had suggested I go back and say hi to her again after my awkward apology for barging in on my first day of club activities. You're not loud and full of questions like most people. Oh no. You're not suggesting about your parents, so to say, or other friends that you may have? Well, I'm glad I don't scare you. If she could see my face, this might be a different scenario, but let's not go down that route. I've forgotten what it is that the protagonist suffers, really. It's like a blood spurge that is somewhere on your body, but for the protagonist's sake, not sake, but their circumstances, it's right below their right eye. Hemangioma, I believe it's called. So, shall we practice? Her frame relaxes. She too seems grateful for the new subject. Yeah, let's press on from social matters and get to the encore of this conversation. I remember Haruka has a distinctive way of knowing where things are within the library, and I imagine as well for a lot of blind people who go about that they need a particular way to be able to navigate around places without bumping into people and things, which I hugely admire, because we as people, we use our eyes for pretty much everything visually. Like other species like dogs, they don't primarily rely on their eyes, they use their nose, but for us, if we lose our eyes, or our vision, sorry, then we've lost pretty much a lot of what we take for granted. But for people who are able to move on in life and be able to live without seeing, now that is determination itself. You have two different people here with two very, very varied issues. Not issues, but conditions that they have. But one of them is somewhat be able to find her way in life, while the protagonist is still kind of worming his way out of his social anxiety issues. And in a weird way, having someone who is unable to see what he looks like is kind of a blessing for him, from his perspective. But I'm not saying that being blind is a blessing, I'm just going to say that out loud. I would not know what it feels like to be blind at all, and huge bravo to everyone who is able to move on in life with what they have. You must like that piece. I do. I feel like I'll play it a lot, so don't mind buying it. She flashed me a brief smile before turning back to her things and hustling her bag on her shoulder. I guess Haruka is a lot more confident than me if she's prepared to go to such a busy place full of other people. This must be especially problematic for someone with impaired vision. Are your parents taking you? No, they're both busy tomorrow. I'll just go by myself. Are you okay with that? I'm used to it. They can't be around all the time. A little anxiety appears on her face. She pauses, but she shakes it off quickly. It might take me a while, but I'm sure I'll manage it. Come on, man. Be the hero of this state. Accompany her as she goes into the city, okay? I don't know, why are you so bothered by it? It would almost be as if you are concerned about her in this situation. As we walk, I still can't help but turn Haruka's situation over in my mind. Why am I so bothered about it? As I said there, I suppose I just can't fathom how difficult life must be as a blind person, and the thought of her going into a bustling city all alone is not only uncomfortable but a little sad too. You know what to do, man. You just gotta get the words out. It wants me to offer to go with her. I knew it. Before, I've been around so many people, it's just horrifying, but then I try to weigh up the positives. Firstly, the bookstore is a bit like a library, meaning that people aren't exactly going to be gossiping up a storm and staring at everyone around them. It's probably a pretty quiet place where everyone keeps to themselves as they browse. Secondly, the streets themselves might be busy, but once we get there, the sheet music section will probably be pretty free of people too. At least that's what I learned from our own school library. But then again, school students are exactly encouraging to go to the library themselves by their own personal means. Haruka? Yes? If you want, I could... I take a deep breath to steady my nerves. Checking in with myself one last time to make sure that I definitely want to offer to do this. You can do it, man. I'm rooting for the protagonist, I really am. I always struggle to pronounce his name. Kakeru, meet you at the bookstore? Surprised expression on her face. Really? So it had been a good idea to ask. Though she doesn't admit anything, her voice has carried the slightest tinge of optimism as she responded. Perhaps she would appreciate it somehow, in which she won't say so outright. Yeah, it'll be easier if there's two of us. Indeed there would be. Are you sure? It's nice for her to consider my own anxiety and give me a chance to change my mind, even though I was one that suggested it. Well, am I sure? You are sure, because you're accompanying your friend. You're being with your friend. You're spending a day with your friend. You're being with your friend. Did I say being with your friend twice? Well, goddamn, it's worth saying it again. Yeah. Ah, nodding eventually and accepting my offer. Oh, yeah. That'd be nice. That sure would, wouldn't it now? Do you... I realised I started speaking without any plan whatsoever and catch myself awkwardly for a moment. Without a plan, things could go in the pan. And that pan is on fire. We turn to face each other as we've reached our usual split-off point anyway. Haruka's expression grows curious as she waits for me to continue. You can do it, man. Do you consider us friends? Do you? That is a good question. A huge blush creeps into her cheeks, and I immediately feel as though I might have overstepped a mark with that question. Sometimes the most simplest of questions can bring out these scenarios. Like, if you think about it, it's just a few words, but when you string those few words together, that can mean something very powerful. I don't have any friends. Okay, so my mark earlier about her having other friends is completely out the window. I don't have any friends. Ah, Haruka, you're not loud and full of questions like most people. Oh no. You're not suggesting about your parents, so to say, or other friends that you may have? That's something I can identify with 100%. Neither do I. As I'm scrambling to try and improve the situation, I figure that I might as well just explain why I asked, or if I'd better make it... I only wondered because, well, we've seen each other almost every day since I joined the club, and I guess I've talked to you more than most people recently. Talked to you more than everyone else in the entire world combined the amount of time. With the amount of conversations we've had by now, I think that's an understatement. Friends? What do you mean? Just... okay, friends is an understatement. Wait, it's this way for you guys. You know, I don't feel great around people. It hurts to say out loud because of how pathetic it makes me feel. Don't be, man. We all have our own shells that we hide ourselves into. But I haven't minded this as much. That probably doesn't sound like much of a compliment, as I chide myself as I fumble with my hands awkwardly and hope that I've not made Haruka feel bad for whatever reason. She contemplates everything that I've said for a moment and then looks up again, the pinkness drained from her cheek. Oh no. I know what you mean. Okie dokie, so she's not as blush as she was beforehand. As much as it was beforehand. I'd say we're friends. Lovely. We are. I have a friend. For the first time in, well, ever. I'm not quite sure how to react at first. After a while I managed to pull myself together enough to emit a single word at least. Cool. What time shall we meet at a bookstore then? Her question jolts me back to reality a little. Come on, man. You offered to help her. You gotta put some plan into action, okay? Oh, whenever's best for you. That's very varied in time. How does 11 o'clock sound? Yeah, that works. She smiles again, nodding in agreement. Okay, I guess I'll see you there. Alright, bye Haruka. Bye. Okay, they managed to separate this time. Yeah, because one other time it was raining, and that's how those meddling students fathomed out that these two were spending time together. I just wish that romance wasn't such a gossip at high school or secondary school, where it's like, well, these things happen, but why does news have to go around so quickly? It takes one person to plague everyone's mind. Yeah, all the other times it's been inside school. This is the first time we'll be meeting her outside of school. Well, we're not exactly going to be out having fun together all day like the other people in school tend to. Come on, man, this is fun in itself. How dare you say that going to a bookstore is not fun? but we're still doing something in the city, like a pair of friends would. It's almost too much to wrap my brain around. Fathoming out all these different circumstances are slowly changing me, little by little. Now that I'm a club member, that one event, being practically forced to attend my first meeting, has triggered a ripple effect, causing more and more irregular events to occur. Very much indeed so. And all things that you're slowly getting in you, where it is slowly bringing you out of your shell. And that is something admirable. Not everyone will be able to do that in your scenario. And if you were truly isolated and in your shell, then you would not have taken that first step in the first place. I'm still here, attending the club and talking to Haruka. I haven't had a complete breakdown like I thought I might when all of this began. Yeah, that was probably the peak of the anxiety levels. I suppose that means that things are going to stay this way. For now, at least. There is one development that I hadn't expected, and that I'm going to tell my parents about now. They'll probably jump for joy. Hi Kakeru, how was school? Okay. Usually I disappear up to my room straight away, but having something extra to say today, I take a deep breath before I begin. It's a little difficult for me for some reason, even though they're going to love what I'm about to tell them, know what I'm like. The two of them don't say anything more, waiting for me to get myself together. Their expectant faces aren't exactly helping my nerves, but as they continue to be patient with me, I realise that I'm probably struggling to express myself because this feels like a strangely big deal. I don't think I've ever been able to tell my parents anything remotely like this. I guess it's a sort of milestone for me, and the more I think about it, perhaps I'm scared to validate it, the frightened part of me just wanting everything to stay the way it was before. That cycle you was once in, you gotta keep trying to break it free, man. Like, for your own good. But for everyone's good. But mostly, your good. Huffing and eyeing the ground, I decide to bite the bullet and step into this unfamiliar territory anyway. When I finally manage to speak, I feel myself smile ever so slightly. I made a friend. That's a good one. But I thought you was going to say something about going to the city with a friend. I love their reactions. I don't really look at my parents after I say this, but I get a feeling that they're smiling too. They are indeed. Today's the day. I'm currently a strange mix of jittery and lethargic as I pace around my room, getting myself ready to leave for the city. Part of me is panicky at the thought of what's to come, and another is trying to convince me to call it off. Don't call it off, man. Don't you dare do it. You promised Haruka that you'll be going there with her to help her out in the bookstore. Come on. You've dived into this. You can't try and dive out of it. Imagine the water slowly sinking, and it gets to a point where you're now unable to try and get out of the water. Kind of that sort of thing. Imagine that there's no ladders. Casting around for a moment, I realise that, just like the other day, I've arrived first. With Haruka nowhere to be seen, I try to time my bus journey so that I'd get here at exactly 11 on the dot. But I guess Haruka is not the kind of person to be a few minutes early. Just in case. Oh god, let's try to calm down. She can't be that far away. It's okay. You're going to be okay, my friend. Starting to get a little overwhelmed from facing the busy street, I swivel around to see a large poster covering most of the bookstore's window behind me. In an attempt to hide my face as much as I can, I stand with my back to the street. I'm the presence of reading the poster. It's a little better, but not by much. Hurry up, Haruka. I think the overwhelming amount of people as well, from Kakeru's perspective of what is overwhelming, it only takes about like a few people for it to be overwhelming. It feels like an eternity that I wait there, but eventually I hear a sound that saves me from going mad. Kakeru? Are you there? Yes? Hello? I went back around to see a relieved Haruka, seeming almost as glad to know that I'm there as I am with her, now that we can get out of the public eye. It's almost like there's a constant organisation that's watching over you, and it feels like now that our hero has come here, that organisation is going to go away. That organisation is our own anxieties and stuff like that. It feels a little weird to see her in something other than a school uniform, and without the burden of a flute case. emphasizing the irregularity of this excursion. Thanks for doing this. I could tell that she's a little anxious, but at the same time, glad to be here. No problem. Shall we go in? She nods, and we make our way to the tall automatic doors heading inside as they slide open for us, as they should do. Again, how can she tell where things are if she can't see the different sections? That itself is admirable. She says this as if reading my mind, and I shuffle alongside her awkwardly with my head down, letting her lead the way. As we head through the various aisles of shelving, she pipes up quietly, a small smirk on her face. I'm glad you were there when I arrived, otherwise I would have been calling out to no one. Yet, it's either the person who is a fear of what they look like to other people, or it's the person that can't see around them, which can't really see the person which they want to be around for the day. I know my way of explaining things is not exactly the best. She makes light of the possibility, seeming amused by it, but while I exhale a laugh outwardly, I start to feel somewhat guilty. Don't be, man. If I'd been just facing the street like a normal person, I would have been able to see her coming and greet her myself. Instead of leaving her open to humiliation, I should take better care about things like this in the future. I prize the book from the shelf, reading the summary of its contents aloud to Haruka, as the cover is regulating on it as well as Braille. When I finish, she nods excitedly. Yes, that's it. This one will be perfect. Glad that our quest is completed successfully. Sorry. Wait, they both make sense. I hold out the book to her, and she takes it happily, running her hand over Braille. Thanks, Kakeru. You made it easier. Understanding properly how independent she is, I feel as though I probably haven't helped all that much, but her pleased expression is still a relief to see. You're welcome. Is there anything you want to look for while we're here? Indeed there is. No, I'm okay. I'm cheap anyway. I'd rather borrow books and buy them. Aww, this provokes a small laugh from her. I'm the opposite. When I know I'll play a piece regularly, I like to buy them. I've got quite a big collection at home. I'm surprised to hear this, considering that the folder she lugs around with her every day at school is cumbersome enough. It seems like it only contains what she considers the basic essentials. Yep, what I've got as the basic essentials. My version of basic essentials is like this size. Her basic essentials are essentially this size. But what she really needs is a size that is beyond the frames of this camera. The two of us make our way shyly to the counter, the anxiety rising slightly again, now that there are more people around us, but thankfully it doesn't take Haruka too long to pay for her purchase. And there's more people there. Was there anything else she wants to do while we're in the city? I thought out of politeness, but feel relieved when Haruka shakes her head. Not really. I think I'll head back home and start learning this. She raises the bag holding her new book with a smile, and I'm glad of the opportunity to go home myself. Okay, I guess I'll see you at school on Monday then. Before you go, after blurting out this out, she looks a little bashful. Yeah? Should we, swap numbers in case we do anything like this again? Good thinking. Good thinking. Great idea. I'm glad Haruka can't see the fact that my cheeks turn what must be a rather unflattering shade of pus after she says this. Pew, sorry. I see what she means though. Being able to text or call each other would make it easier on both of us if we meet up in a place again. Haruka wouldn't have had to stand there calling out for me and feeling lost. Still, despite the practical reason behind it, the notion is still pretty embarrassing. This whole Kakeru Haruka dating speculation really needs to get out of my head. You don't need it to be in your head in the first place. The more it's in your head, the more that the bullies are winning. Sure. I type her number into my phone and call her to pass mine back to her. When she saves in her phone book, she uses speech-to-text technology, telling the phone what she wants it to do. That's a pretty handy way, actually, of going about things if you can't see things, is to use your vocals. That's done. Thanks again for today. It's okay. I'll talk to you again on Monday. Yeah, see you. Especially in this day and age of the current climate. But yeah, it just feels so relieving to do something that is what is considered normal. Just going out with a friend and just enjoying each other's companies in the form of something that is so casual, just going to a shop and stuff like that. How did it go? Did you meet Haruka? I nod affirmatively, and their faces both brighten in response. Good on you, son. What did you get up to? We went to a music store. I helped her pick out a book that she was looking for, and that was it. But it was a very, very good first step. Yes, tell us all about it. Not much to tell. Found the book she wanted. The two of them fuss over me for a few minutes, asking questions and making me more and more uncomfortable as time goes on, but considering how unusual these circumstances are, I'll let it slide for as long as I can, giving short. By the time they're finished, they look positively elated, especially Mom, who beams at me brightly. I'm so proud of you, Kakeru. You've taken a big step today. I swear every time I pronounce this character's name, it has been different every time. I hate the English language. I'm just about to go up the stairs and then somebody calls to me once more. I'd certainly like to meet this girl one day. Since she seems to be such a good influence on you. Yeah, that's a great idea. I don't think that second part of the sentence is quite true. I don't think they'll be practically grinning at her. I think they'd just be fascinated to see what kind of person that she is like, to have such a positive influence on their son. Oh, hello. A phone text tone goes off. Due to the fact that the only people who ever talk to me are my parents, this catches me sincerely off guard. I wonder who this could be. Oh wait, it's my phone provider. It says I used up £0 and 0 pence. Great. No, but sincerely, what's going on here? Is it our new friend? I finish the level I'm playing and then pick up the phone once I'm back on the menu screen, getting a rush of recognition. Of course, I'd given Haruka my number, feeling very odd at opening a text from a friend for probably the first time in her entire life. I read it. It's a repetition of the thanks she expressed earlier for joining her in the bookstore. I guess she wants to make sure that I know that she appreciates me putting myself in a potentially uncomfortable position to lend her a hand. As I'm about to shoot back a generic reply, I notice that there's an extra line of text at the bottom of the message, only visible once I scroll down. Would you like to meet up at lunchtime on Monday? I don't know what I was thinking of, I really like you. I'm sorry. Would you like to meet up on lunchtime on Monday? Yes, please. Feeling strange and a bit wooden, I move my thumbs shiftily across the keys, generate a reply. Once it's sent, I sip. Once it is sent. Yep, that makes sense. My bad, Flare. So both surprised at the situation, amused of my own awkwardness. Sounds good. Very good indeed. Matsumo Sensei is the teacher that initially got Kakeru to join the music club in order to start breaking out of their social anxiety-ness. But yeah, political unrest in the early 1900s, unless you're a politics student or have some fascination in politics, is not really endearing. It's not long now until lunchtime, where I'll be meeting Haruka for our first get-together that doesn't involve having a predetermined objective like searching for sheet music or practicing or whatnot. I concocted a little plan to make sure that I'm not standing around waiting for her this time, putting myself on display to half the school again. We'd sent a couple more messages back and forth on Saturday night, agreed to meet at the stairwell on the floor that she told me that she had her classroom is on. However, I know now from experience that she waits until everyone else has gone on ahead of her before leaving class. My plan is to head out as quickly as I always do, but go straight to the boys' bathroom where I'll be able to hide in a cubicle until enough time has passed that Haruka will probably be leaving. Also, as well, do any necessities that you need to do while in the cubicles. I'm fully aware of how pathetic that sounds, sitting in the bathroom cubicle for no reason other than to shield myself from view, but I guess that's the level that I sunk to since opting to become invisible. I'm used to my own antics by now. My train of thought coming to an end, I try to pull my concentration back into the lecture. Hey Kakeru, what was that thing that I just said about the 1900s apocalypse in... Wait, what apocalypse? Just as the hands start to align, will I be interrupted by the teacher himself? Agony! God's sake, what have I done now? You haven't done anything, my friend. I pad shyly up to his desk. My face is a little hot. I've got no clue what this will be about. Agony, I just want to check in with you. It's been a little while since you joined the music club. How are you getting on with it? A friendly inquiry about my progress. I hadn't seen that coming. I've been a music club member for almost 2 weeks, now that I think about it. It seems to have flown by, looking back. Not bad. I can't say I've loved it, but I managed to get through the sessions without self-combusting, so I guess not bad is a fair summary. Matsumo-sensei seems momentarily taken aback by the fact that I haven't told him that I hate it and wants to leave immediately. However, he quickly fixed his usual sober expression back in place. Yeah, he from the outside looks a little bit intimidating as a teacher, but I think he always means well. Also, just looking at him now, the blue suit with the bits of yellow on it go really well together. No, wait, it's blue and orange at its opposites, but still, blue and yellow look good there. That's good to hear. Have you got to know any of the other members there? I have one. And then there's also the teacher as well. Yes and no. I've made tentative friends with one and completely isolated myself from all the others. I suspect that this answer won't do me any good though, so I nod and allow the ambiguity to suggest a more optimistic one. But of course he's going to see past it, isn't he? It seems to work as Matsumo-sensei folds his arms and nods back in response. Very good. I had a feeling that the music club would be the right fit for you, Akane. Well, music in itself is an emotional wave, so whatever emotions you are feeling, that is how the music that you produce will be projected to others. I'm not sure that I fit exactly, but I don't refute the point. Keep up with it then. I bet you'll get some real enjoyment out of it once you're more settled. He shoots me a subtle, encouraging look before turning to a cabinet next to the board, busying himself and signaling to me that I can go. I see, so the delay has reenacted your original plan of going to the cubicles. Having learnt of our city escapade, I make sure to face outwards as much as I can stand instead of practically hugging the wall. As she approaches, I take the initiative to make sure that she knows I'm here. Hey Haruka! She perks up at the sound of my voice, turning towards me and seemingly pleased. Ah, Kakeru, I didn't keep you waiting, did I? No, not at all. No, I had to talk to my teacher before I left anyway. She nods in acknowledgement. Thanks for meeting up with me, by the way, today and Saturday. She's a little sheepish with what she says. When she says it, I mean. But her relaxed expression remains nonetheless. No problem. What do you want to do? Well, we could go to the library if you want to find any more of those pieces on your club list, or maybe we can just eat lunch? Yeah, that sounds good. Perhaps I should grab another sheet music book or two, or at least listen to some of the other pieces on the list. On the other hand, I guess it's not been that long since I got the Vavalid and Sati ones, so I don't want to push myself. I could always pick the other pieces up another day. What would I rather do? Our first multiple choice scenario. It's a universal rule when playing visual novels that when a multiple choice opportunity comes up, you have to save on it, or just before it, because sometimes you can't save on the choice itself. I'm gonna go with... I don't want the bad end, though. I guess if I'm going through the entire game, I'm gonna get to it eventually, but I don't want my first end to be the worst one. Why am I making such a huge amount of time for such a thing? I'll go to the library. I should probably be proactive and find another piece to start learning. I don't want to pick that one, but I feel that was the better choice. We could try and find another piece if you want. Haruka nods in agreement. Okay, let's do that. I feel like I'm marked up there. With a new purpose to our get-together, we've headed further up the stairs towards the library. No, once you stick to a choice, you can't backpedal. Even though I've probably done that in other games in the past. So, what haven't you got yet? I scan the paper with my eyes, mentally checking off the ones I've already found, until I come across the first new one, Air on the... Why does it have to be named? Do you think they'll have Air on the G string here? Oh, definitely. That's really popular. I learnt it last year. Considering Haruka's apparent love for collecting classical music, this information doesn't surprise me at all. I thought they'd have a lot of them. Do you want to find something else? I almost agree, but then remember the stress I felt at trying to learn two at the same time before. I think going one at a time might be a better idea from now on. I'd rather get them one by one, I think. We could look for this in the CD room though. I am somewhat curious to see if this is a piece I recognize, or if the title is just reminding me of something else. Okay, good idea. We enjoy the music in silence for another minute, and then Haruka shifts in her chair towards me. Have you heard of this one before? Yeah, I think so. She nods, seeming to have expected my answer. Bach is one of the most important composers of all time. His work is everywhere. Every wall you go in school, or we see in school, every floorboard that you see in your house, every tile that you walk on when you go to school, they all have his name on them. I'm over-exaggerating, I know. I think it's quite a calming piece, don't you? Yeah, it's not too fast either. So it might not be too hard to learn. Here, let's bust out Dragon Ball Z through the Fire and Flames Guitar Hero to see if that's a slow one to learn or master. Yeah, I think you'll manage it okay. Haruka, thank you for acknowledging our talents. I want to know this as well. Do you know why it's called Air on the G string? Yeah, I want to know as well. I'm dumbstruck for a moment, having not expected the question and never put any thought into the piece's title. Not sure, but why is it called Air on the G string? Haruka seems to sit more uptight, looking attentive and fond of the subject as she embellishes. The original is part of Bach's orchestra. I struggle with words. Suite number 3 in D major, but this well-known version is actually an arrangement of it by the famous violinist August. That word. You know how orchestras tend to have several sets of people playing the same instrument? Yeah? I have a very vague understanding of the idea that orchestras have a lot of members, and many of those who share the same instrument group together to play the same part or splinter into subsections to spread 2 or 3 parts across the group. Well, they've transposed the part originally played by the first violin section down, so that the whole thing could be played on the violin's G string. That meant that he only needed a single violinist to take that part. Okay, cool. I'm glad that the backstory doesn't have something to do with underwear. Just another few bars, keep it timing. Okay folks, this is where we're going to end it off for today. I am really happy that I'm getting back into this game with the full game now out. I kind of regretted just leaving the demo as it was because I didn't finish it originally. And I think I should have done so, but with the amount of time that is said to have completed the demo, with the amount of time I spent actually playing the game, I felt as though that I put it too much on face value with the amount of time it took to read, so I thought maybe I should call it off here and see how it goes when the full game releases. But looking back on this now, I'm so glad for both characters, in which they're both breaking out of their shells slowly. Like, can you imagine yourself being in this situation where pretty much anything to do with people and people's eyes are your number one fear because of the condition that you were born with. Like Hemangioma. Something along those lines. You can tell that my pronunciation of stuff, there we go, isn't my strongest suit. And the words I isolate at times is not so convenient towards the situation just like now. And now. And guess what, right now as well. But I think that everyone, yourself, other viewers, those who are not watching, we all have strengths and weaknesses in our lives, and it just so happens to be that one of my weaknesses is very apparent, which is being able to just read a sentence with the words on the screen. Like, just looking at these few words, just another few bars, keep your timing. Like, stuff like that, it's not just words, it's stringing them together so that you can say those words. And having a learning difficulty where stringing different words together is difficult may seem like, hold on, that should be pretty easy to be able to put together a few words. But from the perspective of someone like me and others who are in a similar boat, doing that is an accomplishment in itself. And being able to do that repeatedly is an accomplishment in itself. Thank you all so much for watching, guys, and see you all in the next time of Venus Improbable Dream. Just like I said in the beginning of the video, there is a link down in the description below where you can find the gameplay that I did of part of the demo, along with a link to where you'll be able to find where to buy the game and play it for yourselves. Hopefully you'll be able to grasp the importance of a game where we're not always dealing with happy scenarios, and that is perfectly okay, because we learn something from every experience that we go down on every day. No matter how small or how big that scenario is, we're all learning as people. Thank you all so much for watching. See you all in the next time of Venus Improbable Dream. Thank you all so much for watching, and take care of yourselves.